everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session today at Altitude. We're so happy you're here. This session is Future-Proofing IT Needs with SaaSOps. My name is Emily Cataldo. I am our Vice President of Alliances here at BetterCloud. So I work with the technology partners that we go to market with, as well as all of our resellers. I'm really excited about this session today because I'm joined here by Shams Mansoor from Evernote, who I've had the privilege of working with a number of times during our launch of a few key strategic partnerships with OneLogin and with Jamf. And so I'm really excited for you to hear from him today. Shams has been an enthusiastic IT leader who's had experience managing business critical applications for over 10 years. And so he's going to walk you through a presentation about how he's future-proofing the IT team and some of his key strategies. And so with that, I will turn it over to you.
As Emily mentioned, my name is Shams Mansoor and I'm the Senior IT Manager for Evernote. My primary responsibilities include maintaining the IT infrastructure for Evernote across various offices. Before I start today's agenda, I would like to thank BetterCloud who has chosen me to present today. And to be honest, I'm a huge fan of their product as I've been using it to their full potential for the last 7 years. First, we'll go over my journey using BetterCloud with various applications and how we have leveraged it in our IT team to be more productive and efficient. Followed by how our IT team coped with the year's pandemic situation that led to a 100% remote workforce. And lastly, a few pro tips on how we can future-proof your IT needs. Now let's talk about Evernote. If you don't know what Evernote is, it's a productive application that is primarily used to take notes, but at the same time lets you organize and categorize your data in the way you like. Evernote was founded in 2008 and headquartered in Redwood City, California. We have offices from Seattle to Tokyo. Feel free to go to evernote.com if you haven't tried it out. It's a free app and you can use it as soon as you downloaded it. So some more information about Evernote. So we currently have about 450 employees with an IT staff of 5 people and about 40 applications in our environment. All our staff as of March 2020 are working remotely due to the pandemic situation. I'll be going more about this remote transition in my other slides. Switch gears and talk about our relationship with BetterCloud and how it began. Between 2009 and 2013, the tech world noticed a huge boom in the SaaS environment, including the release of Evernote. Workforce started to adapt and use cloud-based applications to be more efficient and productive in their day-to-day work. Around 2013, the IT team at Evernote faced some difficulty in managing our G Suite environment, as back then, the admin portal offered by Google was not as effective and efficient it used to be right now. There were many basic tasks like user, group, or OU management that took hours to complete. We had to spend hours and a lot of man hours in managing our user lifecycle, especially doing onboarding, offboarding our employees in our system. But everything changed after that. With the introduction of BetterCloud as our IT management tool, we leveraged all of its features to automate our time-intensive manual tasks as much as we could. In 2014, we went from managing one SaaS application with BetterCloud to our entire stack. In 2016, we noticed that all our onboarding and offboarding workflows had to be automated as much as we can. And that's when BetterCloud launched their workflow feature, which we leverage as much as we can. And we ended up saving about 30% of our time in not doing those manual tasks. And instead, the time that was saved during that process, the IT infrastructure became more productive and more efficient. In 2019, with the introduction of our Integration Center, we started to connect other core applications like Jamf to achieve full automation across all our systems. Processes like user, SaaS, and security management was completely automated, and it gave us a peace of mind making sure everything was working smoothly. And to be honest, automating most of our core backbone IT processes with BetterCloud enabled us to achieve a great success when we had to switch to a remote workforce back in March 2020. My focus right now is gonna be more about the current situation and the present day, especially this year. We all know that the pandemic situation was something that none of us was expecting, and so didn't we as a company, where our workforce went 100% remote. Everything needed to be transitioned to successfully occur virtually and quickly. Evernote IT team had to make strategic changes and improvements across all our systems, ranging from setting up machines remotely for our new hires by using automated MDM workflows to providing top-notch IT customer service without actual human interactions. So how do we achieve this work from home environment, or how do we, make this transition to 100% workforce, remote workforce staff? Back in February 2020, a few weeks before we all decided to go 100% remote, Evernote decided to have a trial remote day to test out how a 100% remote workforce would work out. This gave the IT team a head start in making sure all our core tools like Zoom and our VPN services would be able to handle the load of traffic. As you know, everybody moved away from offices and started to use all these productive applications, especially like Zoom, to talk to other people or be more productive in their meetings. The trial run also gave us enough time to asset tag all inventory that were taken home, because as you know, a lot of the gears that a lot of people had in their offices were not available in the house, so they had to move everything over. So we had to basically make sure that we had to asset manage them as much as we can. Also, we also reminded our end users that, hey, we know that you're not in the office anymore, but IT is still available with various channels. So we had our Slack environment, we have our robust IT help desk system where people can use submit tickets. So just a quick reminder before to all our end users to make sure that they knew how to approach IT when they needed it. And lastly, obviously, tweaking and configuring a BetterCloud environment with Jamf and OneLogin, with the introduction of these integrations in the last 1 year, so we could actually leverage them as much as we can for our new employees, so that when they start on the first day, we could have all these integrated together, so they have all their applications, programs, and all secured in a snap without the need of actual physical touch. As you know, a lot of these logistical changes when it came to onboarding had to be completely changed. We didn't have the time and luxury to actually order these computers in advance and have them configured before we send it out to these new hires. So we had to use these strategic logistical changes, like, for example, shipping out these laptops from Apple directly to our end users, and then we use BetterCloud to provision their user accounts and their accounts within all these different systems that they needed to do on their first day. As mentioned earlier, BetterCloud has been a critical tool for Evernote since its implementation in 2012. Not only is it our primary tool to manage our core applications, but it also ensures that we have the right process workflows to manage our user lifecycle. That said, I want to talk about our user lifecycle management system, how we manage it using the workflows. So I'm going to first start with the onboarding part. As you can see, the onboarding part, it first gets triggered with a status change in OneLogin. For example, a user is created. When a user is created in OneLogin, we start triggering the workflow, and it starts provisioning that same user within various groups and applications based on their attributes. For, as you can see, if a user is in the sales department, they'll automatically get provisioned into a sales based on their criteria. Then comes the security provisioning, for example, into secondary authentication, for example, MFA. So we have Duo as our MFA provider, which we definitely have to have as a secondary authentication method. So the user also gets provisioned into that. And followed by there, the fine-grained provisioning that occurs, that BetterCloud is an expert tool about and makes it flawless for us. Making sure they have the right groups and files, making sure they have the right user access within our Zoom application with the right pro licenses, also making sure that they're also added to the right Slack channels. As you know, Slack is a very important tool now and everybody loves it. That said, it's not just the onboarding part of things, it's also the offboarding. The offboarding part is pretty much the opposite of what we do with our onboarding processes, but also what is more important here is that we need to make sure that the data and the user records are retained within the various SaaS applications. For example, within G Suite and other Slack, making sure the user has been, their access has been cut off. That's what we use the offboarding workflow as much as we can. And obviously, with the introduction of Jamf this year with BetterCloud, we were also able to secure the devices by throwing out a lock command to those offboarding workflows. In that way, their devices stay secured and cannot be accessed by someone else once the employee has been separated. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit more about these other integrations that we just talked about on the other slide, and how we leverage all these integrations to 100% automated system across our IT infrastructure. Both OneLogin and Jamf integrate really well with BetterCloud, as I said. So I'm going to first start talking about Jamf, right, and how BetterCloud works with Jamf. So with the help of this integration with Jamf, we were able to remove these secure devices in a streamlined fashion, and we've been able to make use of the ability to lock and wipe devices remotely for security purposes. As you know, the physical presence right now is not possible. So we try to leverage this functionality to securely lock a device or remote a device if required. We also use another feature called Jamf Connect with our identity access management system, OneLogin, to streamline our passwords authentication across our not only our SaaS applications, but also our Mac fleet. So all our end users have one single password to authenticate against a hardware or a software, obviously through other security implementations. We've also been long-term customers with OneLogin and Jeff, to be honest with you, and Jeff. But recently, with the introduction of OneLogin to BetterCloud's integration, we were able to manage and maintain all our user identity access management with all our SaaS applications. Whereas Jamf is also used in our environment as a primary MDM solution for our Mac fleet. We also use BetterCloud to execute fine-grained onboarding and offboarding workflows that is triggered by OneLogin. Like when an account is disabled in OneLogin, the offboarding workflow is triggered in BetterCloud to remove and retain users' information across various applications. So, as I was talking about the whole pandemic situation in my earlier slides, one of the things I've been getting a lot of feedback about from a lot of people within our company and a lot of people in the tech sector is that that IT has become actually a very crucial a partner in making sure all our employees are productive and successful. As you know, a remote work is not possible if you don't have the right tech set or the right tools to make sure that you can collaborate and share your information. And I want to first, obviously thank BetterCloud's, enhanced features and integrations that we at Evernote, the IT team, have been able to pivot to accommodate these entirely new working environments. And in 2020, I don't think it would have been possible if we're using these core tools. So we're very fortunate enough that BetterCloud exists, and we can leverage it as much as we can. I want to give some of my pro tip points on how to make sure how you can future-proof your IT environment. At first, as I said, everyone's working remotely, and we want to make sure that everybody is helped at the right time. So what is the best way to make sure that you meet your employees' expectations no matter where you are? So one of the things that we have noticed is that, and implemented, that we try to use a self-service approach to help our new hires and our existing employees so they can follow step-by-step articles in our Wikipedia page to solve common problems. We also did an audit within our ticketing system to make sure that, to address common problems that come up all the time. And these Wikipedias actually have reduced a lot of these tickets and these issues over the time. Also, another thing that I want to talk about is, you try to automate your user systems, like try to automate your user creation and your user access with BetterCloud and OneLogin as much as you can. We at Evernote have saved almost 50% of time by following this approach. Also, at the same time, create and maintain channels for users to easily get in touch with IT. So, not only you should have a robust IT system, like a fresh service or a fresh desk or a Jira help desk to, capture all the IT requests so they can be well documented and processed and helped. But at the same time, you have for quick questions related to IT problems, have these channels in Slack like IT help where people can ask you quick questions and you can take care of. And obviously the last thing is try to automate as much as you can. What I've told my IT team is that let's try to narrow down all the manual processes that we do now in order to do our regular IT work. For example, onboarding, offboarding, and mid-cycle user life changes and all the requests that came in. We took all those manual processes and put them in a list, and we tried to automate as much as we can with the help of BetterCloud's API integrations, open APIs, with other tools. And in that way, we are able to achieve 100% remote workforce. Cool. So hopefully they were really helpful. Now let me switch over to the Q&A session.
Shams, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It was great to walk through, your journey over the past many years with BetterCloud, and then hear about all the things you did to pivot during COVID and as soon as the pandemic hit and everyone went remote. And then, for you to be able to share your top 4 strategies for other IT teams is really helpful. So thank you for that session. One question I have for you is, how do you plan to continue to leverage BetterCloud to future-proof your organization? You talked a lot about some of the automation that you're doing already. I'd love to hear about how you can, plan to continue to leverage our platform.
Yeah, I think what we noticed over the years is that as tools like BetterCloud started to improve more and more with various integrations and features like workflow and obviously with the API integrations, we started to like rethink our possibilities on what could be automated, what could not be automated. And we have come this far where we have done a lot of our automations with a lot of the manual tasks we used to do in the last 3 to 4 years. Now, and I think we'll keep leveraging and using these automation tools as much as we can. But at the same time, I think we will come to a level where we will start thinking outside the box what is being provided to us, right? I think in the future I could see like maybe an HRIS integration like with Greenhouse or Workday or ADP with BetterCloud, which could actually be a source of truth to like trigger all these cool automations. Like, yeah, like BetterCloud does cover um, the whole hardware aspect with Jamf, but also I would like to see some more integrations with other tools, with other departments that could actually, give us more of that automation leverage. But the future is. The future, we don't know what the future lies like, especially after today, right? But technology will always evolve for sure, and our dependency on technology will always be there, no matter what situation brings us to us, as long as we have internet, right? And with that, we'll always have to be one step ahead of what to implement to our company in order to make sure we're more efficient and productive for them, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, I think you mentioned in your session how you've used us for the current automation of onboarding, offboarding, leveraging more integrations. And I know in our discussions that you and I have had, as we keep building the integrations, new integrations, deeper integrations with the existing applications that we integrate with, you guys are always kind of the ones who are pioneering and kind of leading and early adopters of many of those integrations. So I think given our roadmap, many of which, some of the applications you mentioned, the templates that I know you and I have spoken about, it sounds like, I know we're excited about your journey so far, but also just all the ways that you and the broader Evernote team will be using us in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
What advice do you have for other IT teams who maybe are already using an identity management solution? Maybe they're already using, MDM providers, and what advice do you have for them, or how do you think about leveraging, a SaaSOps platform, BetterCloud in addition to those technologies?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you talk about other tools, like, I mean, in this market, the core tools are usually with identity access management systems like, Okta and OneLogin, which is very, very popular nowadays. One of the challenges with those tools is that, yeah, you could actually provision a user based on a lot of the user attributes in various applications you connected to, but what they lack is that fine-grained provisioning within the applications that a user needs in the future, not just for the security aspect of the security aspect of the case, but also the fact that not all users are the same in terms of what kind of access and authorization you give them. Like a salesperson would need a completely different Google folder, a G Suite folder, or a different distribution list, or a different Slack channel in order to get their work day to day done, versus another person who works in HR. They're two complete different departments, two different complete people who do different kind of work. So that's when BetterCloud comes into those, to fill those gaps, to be honest with you. So, with BetterCloud, you can do these fine-grained provisioning not only in the application, but within the application based on certain attributes of a user. So, it gives you that peace of mind, like when a user does start, for example, someone HR does start on the day, they have all the access they need. And and my concept is that when someone joins our company, it should feel like Christmas. They should have everything that they need in order to work. That not only makes them happy and gives their first day of experience really like awesome, but at the same time it reduces the amount of tickets or IT contact they need to do, like, hey, I need access to this and that, which Better Cloud definitely helps us out in many different ways, especially like with this whole remote workforce environment where there isn't an actual IT station where people can walk and ask questions. We're trying to see what are those questions that could come up, and we're trying to leverage BetterCloud in those aspects. You know, it's less tech, more of customer service and being more innovative. So that's where I would definitely go to.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's like giving them not just the access to the applications, but all of the right channels, the right files, the right content before they have to come and ask you for it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's why you've been working with us at BetterCloud. You've been working closely with Jamf, the Jamf team, with the OneLogin team. I think that's the really nice thing about how the three of us come together. And you touched on this a lot in your presentation. Is there's been an established category around identity and access
Yeah.
management. There's been an established category around device security and device management. And really BetterCloud, from what we hear from customers like you and many others, is that we complement those two and work really well, because then you've got your identities covered, you've got your devices secured, and you've got all of your applications and all of the data and interactions going on within the applications covered.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, and I'm very, very and I think BetterCloud is a very futuristic company, and I know there are going to be other integrations that we never knew that we would need. So I'm very excited to see what the future lies with BetterCloud as well. And obviously, we'll always be their customers. And as an IT person like me who has used this product for the last 6 to 7 years, I'll keep rooting for them no matter what. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate that. So maybe to wrap up, now that you've enabled this workforce, 100% remote, there's obviously a lot of companies making different decisions about going back to the office. Some are going remote forever. Some are doing a hybrid, rolling out at different times. I mean, how do you kind of think about things in the future for, I guess, the workplace and really the role that IT is going to play?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the hot topic right now is like, do we really have to go back to the office? Like, are people really needed to be at an office to get their work done, or a company to be running, especially? And to be honest with you, like, long story short, I don't think so. Like, everybody is all the 10 companies I know are running flawlessly. Even like this whole virtual conference is being done remotely too. And I think it's amazing what we have come to. There's this favorite quote I've heard about is like, situations create opportunities, and I think this is one of those situations where we had this opportunity to like rethink about how a workforce can work. But that said, um, because how things shifted so quickly and how IT had to adapt to those changes, we have a robust system now that we really I think that can last forever. And even if we do go back to the office, I think the new policies and the new process and the workflows related to automating a lot of our tasks would actually be very beneficial, even if we go back to the office. But the end goal here is that we need to be that that IT needs to be as adaptable as they can, with no matter what changes are thrown to them, right? And I think and one of the things that I've told myself is, try to implement core tools that can actually give you that adaptability and scalability. For example, BetterCloud or OneLogin or Jamf. Like these tools are a game changer for any IT environment. It's all about leveraging it as much as you can based on how you need it, but at the same time you have to be very very aware of you know how it can make a big impact for your company as well. So I think, as I said, at the beginning, like I think technology always is going to be innovating and changing, and yeah, and I think I think it's the IT team are always going to stay in, because we need to be part of that adaptability for sure.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I like that, where you said there's this opportunity, and you guys have really seized on that. You personally, when you walk through your strategies, have seized on really the opportunity to be front and center for all of your users. You're now responsible for managing literally every interaction that they're having. And so to your point, you're now set up to be successful if you guys stay remote, if some people go back to the office, if everyone goes back to the office, which
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
really
definitely. Yeah, but again, there are challenges with this whole remote work environment. Like, which I've noticed is like, I really don't have control over my end users' ISP internet provider. If their internet is weak or their ISP goes down, there's nothing much I can do about that, right? So there are going to be these gray areas where IT will not be able to help. For example, if somebody's computer were to get toasted or somebody drops water, we can't do a quick swap. So then, the whole logistical part of like the person will obviously have some downtime and IT has to rush and send them a loaner. So there are these great parts that I don't know, like we're still trying to figure out how we can solve them. But, and I was telling myself, I was like, I wish BetterCloud could help me order laptops from Apple automatically when someone would join. But, I don't think I can be that needy at this point. But as I said, like, as you understand, like there are gray areas that we're still trying to figure out and where technology cannot help us, unfortunately. So, yeah.
We should look into that, triggering like a workflow, places an order with one of the resellers. You and I
Yeah.
can get on a call with like.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. And BetterCloud, they introduced the whole open API concept, right? Like a few years back, and I don't see why we could not leverage that for sure. Maybe I should make my own connector.
I was just going to say, some of our resellers that I work with are probably going to listen to this and email you and say like, in your onboarding workflow, send me an email. We'll place the order. So we can explore some of those things. Well,
Yeah,
I know that
definitely.
we're running up on time. So Shams, thank you so much for your presentation and for this Q&A and for being, such a great customer and such a great partner to us over the past, 7 years. And I'm excited about all the things that, we'll continue to do together around new integrations and just continuing to grow the partnership.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
for everyone who's on the line, thank you so much for joining. And please make sure you check out the next session, which is actually a product session. It's titled The Next Frontier for Better Cloud Platform. So thank you everyone for joining and see you soon.